Today is Thursday, October 6, 2016. Welcome to this edition of the Government News Brief. In the news, education delivery in Region 3 to be enhanced, Demerara Harbour Bridge to reintroduce night retractions, and the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporations receives pulse monitoring machines. Stay tuned for the details. Thank you for staying with us. I am Renetta LaFleur. Here now are the details. The Region 3 Neighborhood Democratic Council is focusing on improving education delivery in the region. Namila Henry Rowe reports.
Regional Executive Officer Region 3, Dennis Jaikaran, says that the members of the Regional Democratic Council have been conducting training sessions and workshops for teachers to update them of activities in the education sector.
We have been having a series of visits to school. It is not the normal visit that the Department of Education would do, but visits that would encourage our teachers to be more on the productive line and how is it they are able to mesh with what the delivery process is all about.
The Regional Executive Officer says that in addition to training, the Council has also been contributing towards improving conditions at schools.
We have been able to provide, I want to say, adequate pieces of furniture to our schools. We would have renovated, repaired, rehabilitated a number of schools, more particularly the sanitary facilities, leaking roofs, floors, teachers' quarters, and what have you. So I think this storm this year, they would have been much more comfortable than they were.
Jaikaran says that in 2017, the Council will do more rehabilitation works on schools, provide more furniture and equipment, and employ more teachers. Some $18.5 million was spent on furniture and equipment for 119 schools in Region 3, while $114.4 million was spent on rehabilitation, construction, and the extension of schools. Government News Brief, Namila Henry Rowe.
Services in the Accident and Emergency Department of the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation will see improvement with the acquisition of new pulse machines. Paul McAdam has the details.
The Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation yesterday received 26 pulse oximeter monitoring machines. These will be used in the Accident and Emergency Department of the hospital. Medical Doctor John Paul Rode of Vanderbilt University handed over the machines. He said that they are very important when anesthesia is being administered to patients.
One of the things that is important in both the practice of emergency medicine and the practice of anesthesiology is the sedating of patients for procedures, the monitoring of patients in a critical care setting with regard to their oxygen status. What we've been able to provide as a donation are 26 Massimo pulse oximeter machines, which are very accurate at monitoring a patient's oxygen level.
Doctors of the A&E and the anesthesiology departments of the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation described the machines as being essential in the care of those who are critically ill.
This donation of these pulse oximeters, this is going to go a far way in aiding our care for the critical ill at the emergency department. Presently, we have an average of 150 to 200 patients under 24 hours. Being the emergency room, which is very dynamic, and being the face of the hospital, all the critically ill and very decompensated present to us first. So having these types of monitoring devices help us to better diagnose and to provide better therapeutic care to patients.
The Massimo products are actually very accurate, and this one here has an added parameter that we do not have in this hospital, so it will expand our monitoring capabilities.
Collaboration between Vanderbilt University and the Georgetown Public Hospital has been going on for many years. This U.S.-based university is primarily engaged in training emergency physicians in accident and emergency departments. The 26 machines will be used in the A&E department to measure the proportion of oxygenated hemoglobin in the blood and pulsating vessels, especially the capillaries of the fingers or ears. They will also help to effectively and efficiently diagnose patients before the first stage of treatment is administered. Paul McAdam, Government News Brief.
The Demerara Harbour Bridge Corporation plans to reintroduce night retractions to ease morning traffic congestion on the bridge. Tiffany Rodius tells us more.
Discussion with captains of pilot boats to see how best to reintroduce the night retractions. The opening span of the bridge is retracted to allow passage of vessels. Adams says they are examining schedules and tidal conditions. The night retractions will only facilitate large vessels and will not allow slow-moving vessels, including barges, to pass. According to Adams, preparations are being undertaken to correct the necessary works for the relaunch of the night retractions.
We've had to reinstall some navigational lights that is on the west coast of Demerara and in the sugar terminal compound. There was some existing towers. They had the lights, so we've installed the lights. We've installed the solar panels that will charge those lights.
Adams says day retractions will not be abandoned. However, the length of time would be reduced. One of the issues with the day retraction is that of not being able to open at the optimum tide. This, Adams says, heavily impacts the bridge.
Vessels cannot carry their maximum loads that they can. And even if they do that, that puts a risk in terms of, one, they're working against the tide, because most times the tide would be falling, and two, that means that they will have to compensate for those by increasing their speed through the bridge, and that can have impact on the bridge in terms of drag.
Adam notes that meetings were held with the pilots and staff of the corporation to inform and update them of the process. The night retractions are expected to commence before the end of the month. For the Government News Brief, I'm Tiffany Rogers.
Farmers and residents of Boggarts Ville, a flood-prone community, are now relieved with the construction of a new $65 million sluice. Sonika Thorne reports.
Dave Hicks, senior engineer of the National Drainage and Irrigation Authority, NDIA, says for years the sluice in the area was non-functional and residents have been complaining of flooding.
Most of the water was channeled to the canal spoiler area with a small derelict structure at this location. But it couldn't take off the capacity. During the rainy season, there will be flooding in the farmlands and some residential area. They will call to a lot of calls to install pumps and so on.
Hicks explained that there is approximately 8,000 acres of land between the Boggarts Ville and Canal Number 1 areas.
What we find was at this location, it will be more cost effective to install a sluice where you have a good flow and less siltation to the Demerara River as compared to installing a pump.
The construction of the sluice was completed 3 months ago through a collaborative effort between the NDIA, Regional Democratic Council, and local regional representative. Senior engineer Hicks says he does not foresee any major flooding to the Boggarts Ville area since the sluice was designed with the requisite capacity for the area and is fully functional. For the Government News Bureau, Sonika Thorne reporting.
50 youths graduated from a Warao language project in Region 1 last weekend. Isaiah Braffett has the details.
50 youths from Whitewater Village are practicing their native Warao dialect. Minister within the Ministry of Indigenous Peoples Affairs, Valerie Guidelo, urged that they continue to practice and pass on their knowledge to others in their family.
Each one of the 50 of you came from several different homes. If you can teach your brother and sister the song that you have learned, or if you learn to say, how are you? Fine, thank you. If you teach them that, it will spread from 50 homes. Therefore, soon, everybody will start speaking Warao again.
The minister pledged that the Ministry of Indigenous Peoples Affairs will continue to support the revival of indigenous languages across the country.
Their language is part of their identity, and it's something to be proud of. Never be ashamed of who you are. So the Ministry of Indigenous Peoples Affairs will continue to support that program across Guyana for the indigenous nations that somehow managed to lose their language.
In June 2016, the sum of $2 million was donated to residents of Camwater Hill in Region 1 for the revival of their Waro language. Additionally, plans are in place to re-establish the Amerindian Language Project under the name Indigenous Language Project at the University of Guyana as part of the Cultural Preservation Program. Isaiah Bradfield, the Government News Brief.
Today, Thursday, October 6, marks the 40th anniversary of the Cubana air disaster, which claimed the lives of 73 people, including 11 Guyanese, mainly students. Those who perished were 57 Cubans, 5 North Koreans and Guyanese, Ann Nelson, Jacqueline Williams, Sabrina Harry Paul, Rita Thomas, Margaret Bradshaw, Violet Thomas, Raul Thomas, Raymond Passon, Harold Norton, Gordon Sober, and Seshnarayan Kumar. President David Granger this morning at the Cubana Air Disaster Monument at the University of Guyana's Turkine campus recommitted to ensuring that Guyana remains a zone of peace, even as he noted that Guyana will continue to honor the martyrs. We have come to the end of today's edition of the Government News Brief. The details of these and other stories can be found on Gina's website. Gina has an active Facebook page, and we encourage you to visit and like us so you can be informed as the news unfolds. Do join us again tomorrow for another edition of the Government News Brief. Until then, I am Renetta LaFleur. Thank you for watching.